What is up, everybody? Welcome to this week's episode of the Dense Pixels podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Brad, joined by my co-hosts, Micah.
Good evening.
And Carrie.
What's up?
Even though, there's not, we're trying to key in on the biggest stories in the industry with our docket nowadays. There's a lot of stuff to talk about this week, including being Embracer Group embracing everyone, and a lot of lawsuits that are crazy going around. But we have to start. We actually pushed back our recording time today so that we could talk about opening night live from Gamescom, or more like Lamescom, based on this press event. I have to say,
very proud of himself for that joke.
I am. So look, this event, this 2-hour long presentation, which I watched skipping through a lot of stuff on YouTube as I was watching it because I caught it after the recording was done. It was not for me. I can tell you that it's not a good sign when the thing that I saw during the presentation that excited me the most was a controller. Yeah. And that's what I geeked out for the hardest of anything that was shown during this presentation.
Are you excited for that?
Yes, I will absolutely buy that. It looks like my my old C40, my Astro C40 controller that I regrettably had to get rid of when I got the PS5 because it's not compatible. It is compatible, but only with PS4 games.
I haven't. I heard it was happening, and I heard that they're like, oh, it's PlayStation's version of the Xbox Elite controller. Mm-hmm. Then I remember buying the Xbox Elite controller and not really taking advantage of it. You'll probably take advantage of all of the features, but I don't even know what the features are for this new controller yet.
Well, they haven't really detailed it because they put up a post on the PlayStation blog afterwards to kind of talk about the things. So obviously, you have your standard replaceable back buttons and replaceable joysticks and stuff like that. Now, one thing that is cool with this is that the actual the joystick modules are individually replaceable. So if one of yours wears out and gets a lot of drift, you can literally just buy a replacement stick module to insert on the controller instead, which I think is kind of cool. It beats the shit out of having to buy a brand new fucking controller if it just gets worn out through use. It's got the trigger stops that you would expect to see. There's going to be an app that comes along with it that makes the controller pretty widely customizable. It'll have preset profiles that you can set for different games and stuff like that. Again, it's very, very much in line with other controllers of its ilk. It's probably going to have a price that's in line with controllers of its ilk. So I'm expecting probably somewhere just south of $200 for this thing.
I would expect no. Being very generous, $150 being.
Oh, that's too low. There's no way. Like when a DualSense by itself, I think, what is that, 80? Right now, or something along those lines.
Is it $80?
It's pretty expensive. It's pretty expensive.
Okay, well, then it's at least going to be $160.
Yeah,
but at the very being incredibly consumer friendly, it's going to be $160. And you're right, I don't think it will be $160. When are companies going to adopt the middle finger controller buttons for the back of the controller?
Well, this will have that too. This will have that too. Yeah.
Yes, I'm saying that needs to be standard.
Oh, standard feature. Look at Moneybags over here, just adding shit willy nilly.
I'm just saying, man. It is actually, that's the one thing about the Xbox Elite controller that I did take advantage of is the middle finger controllers or middle finger buttons. The back buttons.
Back buttons.
Yeah, I think they are. I think that is. It's genius, mm-hmm. and it is. Yeah, I think it should be standard.
It's also very pro accessibility when you're looking at controllers.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah,
but yeah, outside of that controller reveal, and maybe the trailer that they showed for what's the fuck was the game called? See, that's how impactful it was. I can't even remember the name of the game. It was Atlas Fallen. Yeah, Atlas Fallen was the game. As Polygon describes it, it looks like Dune meets Destiny. That looked cool, but again, it was a minute-long trailer, so what do we actually know about the game? There wasn't anything else in this entire presentation that I was like, ooh, this looks awesome. I saw the trailer for Destiny, which I'm not playing anymore, and it made me want to really wish I was still playing Destiny, but I don't have time to get back into that like that. But it looks like they're doing some cool shit with what they're doing with the expansions that are coming out. So that's literally it. Like, Gotham Knights did nothing for me. Take this as an ominous sign. Do you guys know what the one more thing game was at Gamescom last year? Do you remember?
No.
Gamescom, I don't.
Well, it was the new Saints Row. That was the first time that we got to see the new Saints Row. So if that's a bad omen for Dead Island 2, which was this year's one more thing, and which is a game that I have absolutely zero confidence is going to be any good. There's that.
I'm sort of curious about Weird Song. Just because of the person who's like the studio head there. But that's it.
Yeah.
Like, I got to see more of that.
And you don't even sound that excited about it.
I mean, it's hard to,
because
like, get super excited about something when it's like all you know is like, okay, well, this is being headed up by Jeff Gardner, who is the lead producer on Fallout 3, Fallout 4, Oblivion, and Skyrim, and was the project lead on Fallout 76, and which is not a sentence that inspires confidence. Look, I will absolutely give him and the rest of the 76 team a lot of credit for pulling that game out and making it into something that I think today is fun to play. I don't spend a ton of time playing it, but every time I do pop in, I have a good time. I got to see more of the game. It's, I like the idea of basing or like leaning into the idea of the protagonist is an unreliable narrator. I feel like that can make for some interesting gameplay and some interesting storytelling. But like, this is the first we've seen of it.
Right.
So.
Right.
Are you two telling me
Yes.
that you are not excited for the announcement of the show? Guys and gals, Hideo Kojima is getting a podcast.
Oh, right. I did see that. And not only is he getting a podcast, but it's called something that you would absolutely expect him to call it.
It's like,
which is
it's
called
like
brain
drain
structure.
or something.
No, it's brain structure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So here's two concerns I have about that. Number one, with the mere announcement of the podcast, Hideo Kojima has already eclipsed the popularity of this show by about 10 times, even though we've been around for 9 years. And secondly, like, he's not a great English speaker, correct? So how's that going to work? Like, is it going to be in native Japanese and translated, or?
So he did say that it will be available in Japanese and in English. So I have to imagine he will have someone basically just translating for him.
Gotcha. But then it's not really
odd.
That's like, at that point, it's like you're doing the feature when you're like on the digital newspaper and you read the art and you listen to the article instead of actually reading it. Like, it's his words, but not being delivered by him. There's a disconnect there. I feel like there would be anyway.
No.
That's like, what I'm going to do. I'm going
to. Jeff Keighley is going to be on it,
of course.
Like,
yeah, he's going to be slobbering on Kojima's
translation.
dick the entire time. Like,
yes. Maybe that's what I'll do one week. I'll write a script for myself for the show, and then I'll have Jay come on and read the script that I wrote, and that'll be an interesting experience. Man, that picture that they got of Keighley like staring adoringly at Kojima is just perfect.
I wish anyone would look at me the way Jeff Keighley looks at Hideo Kojima.
Find someone that loves you the way that Jeff Keighley loves Hideo Kojima, and we'll give him a platform for every banal announcement that Kojima wants to have. Big news here from GameStop. I have my friend Hideo Kojima here to talk about what he's having for lunch today.
It's a very good impression.
Thank you.
That really is. Like, if you close your eyes, like, you can see it. Look, I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at it. That guy's living his. Look, I respect Jeff Keighley. And Hideo Kojima.
I do and I don't.
Yeah. Like, I respect the fact that like Jeff Keighley was just like a fan that
Look,
like
Jeff puts in a lot of work. I've
he
met
does.
Jeff at
He
industry
puts in
events,
a
and
he puts in a ton of work, and he takes it incredibly seriously, and I respect him for that. And I do not respect genuflecting to video game developers. Like that's just weird to me. Especially
Like I
because
said,
he's very like when it comes to everybody else, like he'll poke, he'll prod, he'll be respectful, but he'll be like, so release date? Yeah, but come on,
yeah,
really, when's the release date, right? He'll do that with literally everyone else. But Hideo Kojima just like farts out any old thing, and he's just like, "Oh my god, the Game Awards was created so that we could talk about this," and it's just like,
how, like, would Jeff Keighley be able to survive another second on this earth if he got his Chrono Trigger, which would be Hideo Kojima, Joseph Fares, and Glenn Schofield just all coming together to make like a super game?
I think
Jeff Keighley,
like,
I think
my work is done.
He would just ascend at that point.
Yeah,
he's an incredible like he does everything he can to uplift the industry. He's a terrible journalist.
He's a very good presenter.
He used to be a great journalist. I still remember. I've told this story on the podcast before. The GameStop TV interview that he did with the producer for Dante's Inferno, that he browbeat into basically saying that there was going to be a demo as a pre-release bonus for the game, even though they definitely had not announced and had no plans to announce such a thing. But he just browbeat it out of him and was like, you gotta do this. And he's like, that's not the plans right now. He's like, free demo. Free order. He's like, damn it. Oh, it's fantastic. Like I said, I don't think you could find that on the internet, but if you can, it was funny to me at the time. So that was 10 years ago. My, how time flies. But yeah, that's literally what we had to say about Gamescom. That's that,
and I'm like
ragging on Jeff Keighley.
Fucking Sonic Frontiers is coming out in November.
Is it? Is that the open world?
November 8th is when they say it's coming out.
November.
Honestly,
is that a thread? Because I feel like saying it's like threatening people, like this game's gonna come out whether you like it or not. And even the fans are like, please don't.
Honestly, the most recent trailer that
Micah's having a rave right now in his office. For those of you watching on YouTube, you can't see. So
the story trailer that I guess was released today. There's some cool stuff in there. There's some like it transitions into like 2D platforming in a similar way to how Sonic Generations really had that smooth transition from 3D to 2D planes. Look, I hope it's good. I really want it to be good. Is it gonna be good? It's Sonic. It could go either way.
Micah, do I need to put an epilepsy warning tag on this on the pod this week?
I mean, I had to like shield my eyes while I was turning the light on and off. Yeah, man. Sometimes it does that, and I'm just like, oh my god, like please don't let the baby in here. we don't know what's going on yet. Are we done talking about?
We are.
We're done talking about Sonic.
We
can
are.
read the ad.
Thank God. Go to densepixels.com.
You should run really fast over to densepixels.com/fans.
See, this is why you're the professional. densepixels.com/fans to join our Discord. When you're there, you can drop us a line at any time. Ask us a question. In the post office, any question will do. Between the 3/4 of us, we are geniuses, and we will answer literally any question and give you the correct answer. You can also talk about video games. You can leave a link to your stream. You can talk about wrestling or Premier League or anything of that nature. Go to densepixels.com/fans. Go to youtube.com/densepixels and subscribe. Smash that like button and subscribe. And you too can can test to see whether or not you are prone to epileptic seizures. When you look at my box at youtube.com/densepixels. Subscribe to all of the TNP Studios podcast wherever you get your podcasts, including the Nerdpocalypse, Black on Black Cinema, Coming Distractions, and the weekly preview episode of the Look Forward Political Podcast. And if that's not enough, go to densepixels.com/premium for $5 a month or $50 for the full year. You get access to a litany of evergreen podcasts, including The Airing of Grievances, No Time to Bleed, The Men with the Golden Tongues, Upstage Conversation, and the full weekly episode of the Look Forward Political Podcast, which is always a treat. It's worth the price of admission, even by itself, and you get all that other cool stuff. Go to densepixels.com/premium.
So the Embracer Group found itself in the news not once, not twice, but thrice this week across a variety of different things. The first one is because they are buying a lot of companies and licenses. The big news that came from this is they are apparently buying they have bought the license to the literary works of J.R.R. Tolkien, really meaning the Lord of the Rings saga, to be able to use in whatever products that they want to. And they said
the loophole that's allowing the Amazon series to happen is fucking hilarious, too, by the way.
And they, according to them, they will be getting right to work on some new Lord of the Rings video games that we can expect to see. And it also, like, people that are not in the board game space kind of flew over this part, but Embracer also owns Asmodee, who also owns Fantasy Flight Games, who is the game studio that does all the Lord of the Rings board games, basically. So I'm sure that from that aspect, this was also just a money-saving excursion for them as well. Instead of having to pay a licensing fee, if you just own the blanket license for everything, then you can just kind of do whatever the fuck you want. So
they also bought Limited Run Games, which is a company I don't fucking like. So maybe they'll be less shitty. I doubt it, but maybe. We can hope.
They also picked up Tripwire Interactive, who are known for the Killing Floor and Chivalry game series, and Tuxedo Labs, who is developing the upcoming game Teardown, which is very interesting as well. So Embracer Group is getting embraced by everybody. I resisted the joke that literally everyone in games media was making this week. That is, oh, look, we just got acquired by the Embracer Group. So be proud of me for not picking the low-hanging fruit. The other big news was kind of a follow-up to us.
Yeah, proud of you for that, but like, kudos for Gamescom.
Look, I had to bypass the Dense Pixels got acquired by Embracer Group, so I could make the Gamescom joke. It wouldn't do to have two incredibly lame jokes in one podcast. The next bit of news from Embracer Group is a follow-up from a story that we talked about last week. So Aspire Media, or Aspire Media, as we called it on the show last week, who was developing the Knights of the Old Republic remake, is no longer developing the Knights of the Old Republic remake because they fucked it up. And that is being given to Saber Interactive, who, while not known for any big AAA games, so you still have cause to be concerned, is at least a competent development studio that can hopefully make a good product that we will actually want to play. According to Embracer Group, the transfer of development duties, quote, will not add any length of time to the release, we are not expecting any material delays for the title based on this transition. I do remind you that when this was originally announced, they apparently said it was supposed to come out in the year 2022, which is ridiculous.
So that was a fucking lie.
Yes. Yes. And to that point, we've heard no other release date, period, aside from that. So according to them, it's still coming out sometime in the next 3.5 months, which is a lie.
Yeah.
But for my money, the funniest story of the week, and I don't know if maybe I'm being mean by saying it's funny, but I'm saying it's funny for a very specific reason, which I'll explain in a second. The new Saints Row video game came out this week to really, really poor reviews. So poor, in fact, that the Embracer stock price fell about 7% in one day, even in the wake of all of these acquisitions. It's not even, according to most of the reviews that I've seen for Saints Row, it's not even like bad in a good way. Like, it's just bad. Like,
it's just like really mediocre.
That is the perfect word for it, and I can tell you that from experience. Yes, it
Micah.
is.
You bought it and played it?
Of course I did.
No.
Micah.
Look, I don't mind playing it. Look, I bought Final Fantasy Chaos.
Yeah, but that was fun.
Yeah, so did I, and that game is so, like, it's dumb, but it's funny. It is, though.
Micah, I've seen dialogue. Hilarious. I've seen dialogue.
I don't know. It's funny. It's not hilarious. It's funny.
Here's what I'll say. It's hilarious when I am playing with two people in co-op mode, and we can all riff on the game collectively.
Yeah, it's not really funny when I'm sitting here by myself and this fucking I'm Jack and I'm here to kill chaos. Like
the battle in that game's kind of fun, at least, though.
Like, but that game is at least fun to play. Yeah. Saints Row is they made a big deal about it, like, oh yeah, we're taking inspiration from Saints Row 2. I mean, they took a little more than inspiration. Like, they took the entire fucking model, right? Like, it feels like a game that came out 20 years ago.
Yikes.
And it's fine. It's competent, right? It's competent. It works. It has the glitches that open world games have. That's not an excuse. Like, they shouldn't have them. But it's just like the ludonarrative dissonance that you have to have, like, I gotta feel sorry for me and my crew because we're just trying to make it. You know, we live in a shitty apartment and we're just trying to make it. But, like, they're members of, like, incredibly deadly gangs, and they just, like, murder people.
Yeah, isn't the whole concept is that, like, it's a bunch of, like, millennials or, like, young millennials and zillennials that join a criminal gang because they were upset about, like, student loans and the housing crisis and the injustices of the world?
Yeah, like one of the gangs is like Bernie Sanders supporters, like to the extreme, right? Which isn't that far. But they're like, you know, they're socialists, right? But like they're hollow socialists, right? Like it's all like bullshit. And the other gang is like Hispanic, and like that's their trait. Like, hey, like that's their thing. And then the other one is a PMC. And it's okay. And you're just it's I don't know. I find it difficult to feel for these characters. Like, they're nice people, but like they're murderers, right? Like, imagine Carrie, like, just like her day job is going around murdering people. Like, everything about Carrie is the exact same, but what she does for a living is murder people. It's just weird. It's just
thought about it.
But that's the difference. You know, you thought about it, but you don't act on it. Saints Row is not worth buying, not even on like a deep sale. Like
it seems like a game that they released because they were contractually obligated to release it. And I feel bad for Volition because they're probably going to either get closed or severely downsized or just not handed a project like this, because if this is the output, then that's not very good. But again, I don't feel like that this game would have come out when it did and in the state that it did if it wasn't for pressure from the publisher. And we don't have any evidence to back that up or any stories about that until Jason Schreier writes an expose 6 months from now about like culture and volition for the new Saints Row. But that's the sense that I get seeing the game releasing in the state that it's in, seeing the fact that it is very much a game that is a bygone relic of the PS3 era, essentially, of game design. Because like I said, I scoped a couple of reviews for this, and most people said, yeah, like it feels like they ripped this game from 12 years in the past, and it has like game design that wouldn't have even been acceptable back then, as well.
Like it just doesn't. It's wow. Like it's like I wasn't expecting much, right? But I bought it because I like open world games, and I desperately wanted something to play. I'm getting Cult of the Lamb on Friday. But yeah, it's not. It's maybe it's a Game Pass game, and it's a Game Pass game where it's like, oh, okay, I'll just try it out and kind of fuck around for 2 hours and then like never touch it again.
Yeah,
it's one of those games.
See, I had the urge to like play something new and play something for like a couple hours, but instead of buying a $60 bullshit experience, I bought Unpacking, and that was nice. I had fun with that.
I've heard it's good.
It's nice. It's like a 2 hour sort of chill thing. The way that the story is sort of told is easy to understand, nonverbal. I also finished Outer Wilds.
Are you in on that game now, or are you still?
I'm in on that game now. Yeah,
Okay.
I get it now. Yep, 100%. Yeah, fully in on that game. That game's really good, really smart.
Are you saying it's worth me actually like going
I'm
back
saying
and
it's
trying
worth
to
the
parse
$12 that I spent on it, and absolutely worth you going back and finishing it, because it's like there's definitely like a hurdle, and that hurdle is like 90 minutes to 2 hours of flailing around in space, not really knowing what's going on. But then it's like you get that first big piece of information, and you're like, oh shit, I know what I can do with this now. You go to the other place with that piece of information where that applies, and you get another big piece of information. You're like, oh, okay, cool. The one frustrating thing is like I had all the information, but like you still have to sort of like execute the algorithm or equation, whatever the fuck you want to call it, within the 22-minute time limit. And it's very frustrating to have all the information and know that you're doing everything right, and to like just mistime something and then the sun explodes and you have to try again. That's frustrating. But I thought Outer Wilds was great. But yeah, it's like the thing about that game is there's no power-ups, there's nothing that prevents you, like you can't make your suit more durable, you can't give yourself more health or anything like that. Literally the only thing that you gain from going through this time loop over and over and over again is knowledge, and you have to be able to apply that knowledge in a way that matters.
Speaking of space, I laughed about this because Carrie brought up the Tim Curry quote either last episode or the episode before. I can't remember.
Yeah.
As it happens,
I'm going to the one place where capitalism can't reach me. Space!
I was laughing because late last week, Polygon put out an oral history of that line.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's pretty funny and worth checking out. Unfortunately, Tim Curry does not comment in it because Tim Curry suffered a stroke many years ago and doesn't really do a whole lot of interviews anymore.
Yeah,
which is a shame. But it's still pretty funny to read a like it's an oral history of a line read, essentially, because that's how iconic that line read was. I also played a new game that I've been looking forward to for a little bit. A new entry in the burgeoning roguelike golf platformer genre that's taking the world by storm. And that is Curse to Golf, which is a 2D roguelike golf game. But it's done in a very like over the top fashion that makes it more, like I said, it's more like a platformer where you have to control your character by hitting a small ball around a kind of a pseudo golf course. So the way it works is like you play as a golfer who gets struck by lightning on the final hole of his he's about to win the big championship, and he gets struck by lightning and he gets killed and he's sent to golf purgatory. And he has to battle his way out of purgatory by defeating all 18 holes in the golf purgatory golf course. And you have to do it in one run. And that's where the roguelike aspect comes into play. And so when you approach each hole, you start with a par of 5 strokes. So you have to beat each hole within 5 strokes in order to get past it, which is usually not possible because the holes are actually quite long and kind of labyrinth as they go around this 2D stage. And they have all sorts of hazards, some of which you expect to see, like rough or water or bunkers, and some of which are very video gamey, whereas like a graveyard that, you know, takes your ball below the surface when you land on it and things like that. But there are statues dotted around the course that you can not hit your ball through, and that gives you extra strokes. And you kind of have to do that to make sure you have enough to complete the course in the requisite time. You also have these power-up cards that you can get, which are one-shot uses, which, again, some of them are expected that, you know, you can add extra strokes to your counter, or you can take a mulligan, or you can, like, explode your ball in midair into 3 separate balls, and then you can pick which one you play from when they land. Or you can have a ball that, you know, when you hit it and it hits the ground, instead of bouncing, it'll just stick on the ground like a lead balloon, basically, so that you can, you know, land it into tricky areas. I'm enjoying the game so far, but it's also really difficult. The holes are randomized, so like every time you lose and you start a new round, it's not like you're learning the course, because all the holes that you run into are completely randomized. So every run through the game is a little bit tricky, but they do have ways that you can kind of bank power, because those cards that you get, you can earn them, but then when you go to the shop in between holes, you can actually like store them in the shop, and then you can withdraw them in future rounds, essentially, so that you can have it. If you're on a really good run, but you need some extra help, you can get those cards out and stock the ones that you don't need on a run that you know is not going very well. They also have boss battles as well. So I'm at the first boss battle now. And those are just head-to-head, like, match play situations where you play against one of the other characters in the game and you race to sink your ball first before they do. I'm having a lot of fun with it. It's pretty cool. The only criticism that I would have of it is that, so, like, the first area of the game is, like, 4 holes and then the boss battle, so 5 holes total.
Okay.
And I failed on that one on the first boss battle, and that whole run of 5 holes was like 25 minutes. So like the entire 18, you know, hole round would probably take upwards of 2 hours, which is fine because you can save in between. You know, you can save in between, but when you're in a rhythm, you kind of want to stick with it. But it's a very interesting take on the roguelike platformer, which is not a bad thing because there's a lot of those nowadays. And so anything you can do to keep things unique, I think is good. I think this is a good game, and being as it's a roguelike, I would expect it to get copious amounts of improvements over time. And I think it's like $15, I want to say, or something along those lines.
I was literally looking on the Humble store, and I was between Curse the Golf and Unpacking, and I got Unpacking. I love a golf game.
Yeah.
Golf Story is one of my favorite games of the last decade. Like,
and I think if you like golf, and I haven't played Golf Story, but just from what I understand of Golf Story's aesthetic, I think if you like Golf Story, then the vibe of this game will probably sit well with you because it's that kind of golf, but just tricky because, again, like the shots are hard to make, and also sometimes with your driver especially, because you only have 3 clubs, you have a driver, an iron, and a wedge. With the driver especially, a lot of times the landing zone is off the screen. So it's not always easy to tell like exactly where the ball is going to land. You can scout ahead, but when you're actually taking the shot, you have a very limited view station that you're able to rock with. And I think that's part of the challenge, is kind of like, you know, figuring out where the shot is and kind of mapping the trajectory in your head before you actually execute it. So, but it's good. Like I said, I've been enjoying it. I'm going to keep playing it. I've been bouncing back and forth between that and Cult of the Lamb. Still, Cult of the Lamb. I just beat the 3rd main boss. So I have one more main boss to go, and then I'm pretty sure there's another boss after that as well that you'll have to take down. So
cool.
But I've been having a good time.
I have not. No, it's fine. It's fine. Go to densepixels.com /Amazon for all of your Amazon purchases. When you go to densepixels.com /Amazon for all your Amazon purchases, you get what you want. You don't pay anything extra, and Amazon kicks us back a little thank you, in the form of 4 pennies per dollar. So the more you spend, the more pennies we get. We gotta fund this operation for another week. I'm not going to do that. I don't want to. I don't want to wish that on us. I'm on densepixels.com/Amazon right now,
Oh
and I'm
no.
trying to see if there's anything interesting on here. But I really don't think there is. Right? Like nobody wants to hear me talk about toys. I guess the
Especially not after what the results are probably after last week's
yeah.
last week's search.
The last thing I bought on densepixels.com/Amazon, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles miniseries, The Last Ronin, is now in collected form, and I bought that from Amazon because Amazon owns Comixology, and they massacred my boy. They killed Comixology, so now I have to buy all of my comics through Amazon if I want to read them through the Comixology app, or I gotta get a CBR and then boot up Chunky or whatever. And sometimes I just don't feel like doing that shit. So yeah, you too can get yourself the TMNT Last Ronin for like $13 at densepixels.com/Amazon.
I have another book recommendation for you Amazon folks out there. Been reading through the Murderbot Diaries series, which is a series of novellas. Oh, Micah has the Murderbot Diaries series.
I do have them. Where are they? Now you're speaking my language.
There we go. Which for those of you who are not aware, is a novella series about a security robot who he's like a human looking robot. He overrides his like governing chip, so he becomes like a rogue robot that's working around, and he's very antisocial, and he's very funny because of that. The books 3, 4, and 5 in the series are all on Kindle Unlimited right now, and I read the first two when they were on Kindle Unlimited early this year. So, highly recommend having a good time.
I concur. If you when I heard the premise, I'm like, oh well, fucking neurotic robot. Like, come on, man. Like, give that to me. I need that. And yes, they're very good. So there you go.
Yeah, especially if you're an introvert, the character will speak to you in great ways. So, there's 2 lawsuits that we're going to talk about this week. The first one is incredibly frivolous, and when I saw this headline come through, I had to reread it, and then I clicked on the story instantly because I read the headline, and I was like, surely this can't be true, and yet it is. Because Sony is being sued in the UK for the sum of £5 billion, billion with a B, for, quote, ripping people off on the PlayStation Online store. And I know you're asking yourself, like, well, how are they ripping people off? Like, is it because they sell loot boxes on there? Is it because games have gone up to $70? No. The person suing them apparently takes issue with the fact that Sony, as a middleman, dares to make a profit through the sale of games on their marketplace that's in line with industry standards. I can't believe it either. A couple quotes in the lawsuit. The game is up for Sony PlayStation. With this legal action, I am standing up for the millions of UK people who have unwittingly been overcharged. We believe Sony has abused its position and ripped off its customers. So yeah, they're suing Sony for making a profit, guys.
Signed Lord Buckethead. What are we doing? What are we doing? Jesus Christ. Okay. All right. I don't know what else to say, man. Like, this just feels like a joke.
Like what do they expect to happen here? Because all Sony has to do is point to like literally any other digital marketplace company, right, and is like, except for Epic, because like Epic's the one exception that breaks the rule. But they'll literally be able to point to everybody else and be like, yeah, we charge the same pass along fee as everybody else does. Same as Apple, same as Google, same as Xbox, same as Nintendo. Like
Well,
it's
thank you for that, Sony. Looks like we got a bunch of more lawsuits to create. All right, yeah. All right.
dude. I would love to be the person who goes to law school for 4 years, passes the bar, and this is on top of undergrad. Like they go to undergrad for 4 years, they graduate there, they go to law school, pass the bar, become a lawyer, and all they do is like the ambulance chaser of the lawsuit world, essentially, where you're just putting frivolous lawsuits against tech companies in the hopes that like 1 out of 10 of them will settle for like 1/100th of the amount that you sue them for to bankroll all your other ventures. Because that's all this is, right? Like they're advertising this as a class action, but like you said, it's going to get tossed out as soon as this gets in front of a judge.
Yeah, like this isn't like patent lawyers do this, like with patent trolls and stuff like that. Like they come up with this. Oh well, this ridiculous lawsuit, and try to like jam you up to the point where it's just like, all right, here's some money, go away, right? like this is the equivalent of the squeegee kids, right? Like, I don't need you to do this. I'm fully capable of doing this myself, and I have systems in place that can do this job. But here's $1, go away, right? Like that's what this is. This is ridiculous. It's funny to me. It's funny.
But the other lawsuit is actually quite a serious one, and uniquely, I'm going to let Carrie take this story because it's a very unique situation in that one of her former employers is suing one of her other former employers.
Yay, which means that no matter who loses, I win.
Which is hilarious to me.
It's hilarious. Okay, so GameStop, our much beloved gaming retailer, is being sued by Diamond Comic Distributors, the much beloved comic distribution service, for about $3 million, which doesn't seem like a lot of money. But it could have major implications for Diamond, depending on how much they actually win out of this. You see, what happened was GameStop's in some hot shit, not just with Diamond, but with several other companies. Now, if you have been in a GameStop within the last 5 to 8 years, you've probably noticed that the company has a significant collectibles section. So like not just the Funko Pops, but they typically these days have a glass case of some sort with like maybe they've got a Dragon Ball Z statue, maybe they've got a Nendoroid in there to sell and whatnot. So GameStop doesn't get these directly, they get these from companies like Diamond Comic Distributors. And they also get these things from companies like Bandai and Hasbro, stuff like that. Now, part of the problem is that when GameStop decided that they were going to significantly expand their collectibles section within the last few years, they broke into the market of store exclusives, which meant that they were ordering things from Diamond and from Bandai and these other collectibles developers, creators, distributors that would only be sold at GameStop, which meant that GameStop entered into contracts with Diamond. Now, Diamond also owns the company Diamond Select Toys, which is a toy maker, producer of figures and statues and whatnot. So GameStop did this really hilarious little thing where they ordered store-exclusive collectibles for all of their stores to then sell. And then they canceled those orders after they had already entered production. Mm-hmm. And then they didn't pay those orders. And they did this with product, again, with Diamond, with Hasbro, with Bandai, with several other companies. GameStop's burned a lot of fucking bridges in the industry, if you haven't picked up on that lately. So that's why Diamond is understandably suing GameStop, because if Diamond Select Toys, and if Diamond at large doesn't get this fucking money from GameStop, that could have major financial implications for Diamond. Because you see, what's going on at Diamond is they've also been hemorrhaging money lately. And this hasn't been super widely covered. And I mostly know this because I worked for the company, and I still know many people who work for the company, and I'm still friends with a lot of folks. And Diamond is a company that has... It didn't really go reported because it wasn't really a mass layoff. But it was essentially a mass layoff because back in 2020, they furloughed as many people as they possibly could. And then they didn't bring everyone back. So some people ended up essentially laid off. Mm-hmm. But because they were furloughed before, doesn't really count as a layoff, wasn't reported as a layoff.
And so they didn't have to pay unemployment, I'm assuming.
Well, I mean, they were paying unemployment on furloughs anyway.
Oh, okay.
But, yeah, it means they didn't have to pay unemployment again, basically. So, Diamond, who pays people very badly, full disclosure, when I worked at Diamond full-time as a adult with a master's degree, the most I ever made at Diamond was $34,000 a year for full-time work, which is pathetic. And so they lost all these positions. They were already losing positions to attrition even before the pandemic happened. So you're losing all this stuff. They lost their contract with DC Comics. They lost their contracts with Marvel. They've lost contracts with plenty of other creators and publishers. Yeah, things are looking pretty bad for old Steve Jeppy at Diamond. So this feels like a situation where if Diamond doesn't get this $3 million from GameStop, that might spell the end for Diamond Select Toys. Because they already can barely afford to keep the lights on in their office. They can't afford to keep a staff on. They can't afford to pay the staff that they have. So anyway, everything's fucked. And and for me, I really look forward to seeing the court documents. I haven't been able to spot the actual filing, but basically, someone on Bleeding Cool got a copy of it. I have a friend who has a Pacer account who's probably going to be able to pull the whole complaint for me. But basically, GameStop submitted a purported cancellation and reduction to Diamond, which either entirely canceled 105 outstanding accepted purchase orders or substantially reduced them to be purchased pursuant to those accepted purchase orders. For each of these products, Diamond had already submitted production orders to vendors and had paid the upfront cost of production, and therefore making them fully obligated to pay for those products. So...
Interesting.
A+ job.
Fantastic.
Jesus.
Yep.
And even then, like, I can't imagine like a $3 million payout, assuming they get the entire judgment, is going to last Diamond very long in general.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
No, it's not. Like, they've already literally closed multiple buildings in Maryland. They had a warehouse up here that they completely shut down, so they're shipping everything out of Olive Branch these days. Yeah. It's been really interesting to follow the slow, torturous, delightful, amazing downfall of Diamond Comic Distributors over the last few years.
Well, we turn now to a place with no apparent litigation, the Dense Pixels post office, where we start with Daniel, who asks, what is your favorite type of cheese?
I don't know.
I'm a white girl. You're asking me to pick one?
Well, that is the problem. There is that, like I said, white people. One of my best friends who's Filipino has a incredible theory, not in theory, but just an observation on her behalf, that white people really love cheese. Like
Dude,
we love cheese
fucking
more
love
than anything
cheese.
else. Not me though. I'm a real basic bitch when it comes to cheese. I like a nice slice of horseradish cheddar for whatever sandwich that I happen to be eating. But I'm not the type of guy that's just going to eat a piece of cheese. Like that's not really my jam at all.
No, I'm not a toddler. And even then, I don't let my toddlers eat American cheese. It's not that I have a favorite cheese; is that I will refuse to eat American cheese.
Yeah,
but I don't eat cheese like, I'm not Steve Urkel, right? Anybody got any cheese? Like, no, I don't.
Yeah,
I don't eat cheese.
Cheese is exclusively a topping for me. Like I cannot eat it by itself.
Okay,
Yeah.
as a white woman, I enjoy a charcuterie board. But even then, like, not every cheese is applicable to every situation. Like, Wegmans has a really nice cranberry goat cheese, which I find delightful, but that's a very sweet cheese. So that's obviously you're not going to fucking throw that on a sandwich. That doesn't make any sense. You're going to have that with a couple of crackers and some wine. Blue cheese is great. Sometimes blue cheese is nice on its own. Sometimes it's nice with a little bit of honey. Sometimes it's nice on a salad. There's Gouda, which is a very salty cheese. Look, I like all cheeses. If I have to pick one, like if there's one fucking cheese where like no matter what time of day or what situation I would eat an entire block of, it would probably be feta. I don't know why. I fucking love feta cheese, man.
It's not often that I wish we had Jay on the show, but then again, I don't wish we had Jay on the show because I don't have 25 minutes for the what cheese is best segment.
Yeah, get ready. Yeah, he would bogart this conversation. He would, and ironically, he wouldn't say full board, which would probably be a better use of the term, referring to a smorgasbord of cheese.
A charcuterie board.
It upsets me that some people don't pronounce that correctly because I think charcuterie is a fantastic word.
Charcuterie is a fantastic word. I just call it a charcuterie board because I find it funny.
Yes. Anthony asks a really interesting question that is harder for me to answer the closer to the current day that we get, and that is, what games would you say represent the peak of a console's popularity for the older consoles? He gives the example of GTA 3 for PS2, Halo for Xbox, etc., etc. Because I feel like the consoles of our youth are easy. Like Nintendo, NES, like I think you'd have to say Mario 3.
I think like NES.
Yeah, Mario 3, right?
Yeah.
I would say
obviously Pokemon Red, Blue, Yellow for Game Boy.
Right.
Super Nintendo, I think, would probably be between like Super Mario World and Donkey Kong Country.
I would say DKC 2 would be the apex.
I would say, here's the thing. I think DKC 2 is a better game. I think DKC 1 was ultimately more popular.
Oh, it had more of an impact, yes. But I'm saying like I guess peak of popularity. Okay, peak of popularity. Yes.
Ocarina of Time for N64.
Sonic 2 for Genesis.
Absolutely,
pretty easy.
Sonic 2 for Genesis.
For Saturn, NA.
Nights into Dreams, I guess.
Ridge Racer. I don't fucking know.
Dreamcast MVC 2, probably? Or is that more niche because it's a fighting game?
I think that's a little more niche, but like if you're going to pick a fighting game,
such a
that
popular
one would be
game,
the
though.
one to pick, right? If you're going to pick a fighting game, that would be the one to pick.
But like probably Sonic Adventure 2.
Like Final Fantasy VII, right? For the PlayStation.
Yeah.
Right? Like those two are synonymous with one another. Metal Gear Solid 2?
No. Too early for PS2.
That's right. Yeah, there's the problem, right?
Yeah.
There's the problem. The
I
PS2
think like you gotta go like GTA Vice City or San Andreas.
San Andreas would probably. I think San Andreas is probably a fair shout, and maybe God of War, maybe the original God of War.
I think God of War's got to be in the conversation.
I would agree.
The problem with PS2, as Micah was getting at, is like the lifetime of the PS2 was so fucking long that to be like, that's the game is tough. Honestly,
Yeah,
I
man,
would say MGS2 is also probably needs to be in the conversation for PS2.
Did Resident Evil 4 come out for PS2?
Not originally. I think it made its way there eventually, but it was a GameCube
I
game
would say Resident
originally.
Evil 4 might be like no, that's not true. Smash Brothers Melee for
Yeah,
GameCube.
Smash Brothers Melee.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know what I was thinking.
100%.
Maybe
Halo
Metroid Prime.
Halo 2 for original Xbox, I think, is probably the right pick there. Now 360, I was thinking about 360 specifically earlier today. I'm gonna throw a curveball at you, a little sidewinder.
All right.
Call of Duty Modern Warfare.
Crackdown.
No, Call of Duty 4,
Warfare.
Modern Warfare, original Modern Warfare on 360.
I would agree with that.
I could see that, right? Because Modern Warfare kind of revitalized that franchise, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it breathed brand new life into that thing, and it's kind of the juggernaut that it is now because of that. I didn't really mean Crackdown. I was trying to.
PS3 is tougher. PS3, there's not one because, like you initially say Metal Gear Solid 4, but Metal Gear Solid 4 is what really began the PlayStation 3's rise in popularity. I don't think that it was its peak though, by any stretch of the imagination. So you'd have to go later. But I'm not sure what one game I would like pinpoint on the PS3 to like be like this is the apex of its popularity.
Last of Us?
I really don't want to.
Feels weird to say that as a PS3 game because they're like literally making that game again for the third fucking time.
What
I would
about
go with Last of Us or like Uncharted 3.
what about Grand Theft Auto? Right, like
GTA 5.
Grand Theft
Yeah,
Auto.
GTA 5 came out after the PS4 launch though.
Wasn't
on
it? No,
PS3.
that game was on PS3, right?
It
Oh,
was,
you're saying-
but
was
it
on
came out. It
PS3.
released after the launch of the, or no, right before. It came out, I think, in September, and the PS5 launched 2 months later, and so did the Xbox One, as well.
Yeah, it's very difficult once you get to,
Current,
early
like
in
the current, more modern stuff. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
7,
would
8,
I
and
would
9
pick
generation
Spider-Man
are
for
hard.
PS4.
I think God of
Spider-Man
War.
or God of War.
I think God of War.
Probably
Tips
God
it.
of War. As much as I'm a Spider-Man person. Yeah, probably God of War.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Wii U.
Well, ironically, with the Wii, it's Wii Sports, right?
Well, that would be like certainly the best selling because it was a pack-in.
But I'm saying if you're talking system popularity, like that game literally sold how many millions of Wiis?
That's true. That's fair. I mean, I think Wii Sports is fair. I mean, I think Wii U.
We don't
like
even have to pick anything for the Wii U. It's okay.
Splatoon, Mario
okay.
Kart 8, maybe. I'll go Mario Kart 8.
That's fair because Mario Kart 8 has persisted to this day. So
Yeah.
I think that's exhaustive enough. I don't think we need to like dig down into like the Virtual Boy or the Atari
Jack
Jaguar.
Brothers.
Yeah. Good question though. AK Houston asks, how likely is it that we get a good mobile gaming device that is also capable of smartphone activities, and when? As if to say the Samsung
They
Galaxy
already
needs to
made one. It
switch.
was called the N-Gage. Fucking get with the program.
I mean, I think we all had that joke just in the chamber. And Carrie shot first.
Yeah, I don't think we need one. Like, I don't think it's necessarily ever going to happen. Like, I don't need to fucking make a phone call with my Switch.
Well, plus, I think we're there. Like, if I'm really desperate to play console quality games on my phone, I have my backbone,
Also
and I can
true.
just clip into my iPhone and play remote.
Most phones can either play something remote via streaming or have access to decent enough mobile versions of plenty of popular games. I don't know why anyone wants to do serious gaming on their phone though. Like that whole idea has just missed me entirely. Like I literally don't want it. So
Let's see. Anthony said, this is another loaded question from him. The worst video game peripheral and your favorite.
Yo, we could be here all night for the worst. The Tony Hawk skateboard. Every plastic attachment for the Wii remote.
Yeah, those are the worst.
Do you remember? I wasn't a Genesis guy, but my friend was, and we used to play fighting games. And he had this thing called the fucking like the activator.
Yes. The octagonal thing that you put on the floor and like actually did the motions in. Yes.
Yes. That thing was so. That thing was so stupid. That thing was so dumb, yo. But like, here we are spinning around trying to do fucking hurricane kicks and shit. And it was, yeah. There's a ton. Do you remember? The fuck was the name of that game? Where it was a big mech game, and it had like a dashboard controller.
Oh yeah,
that was
yeah.
Like
I don't remember the name of the
3 feet
game.
Long.
I know what you're talking about though.
Shit, man.
How about the Resident Evil 4 chainsaw controller for GameCube?
Ooh.
Come on, man.
That thing's kind of funny, though.
It's unusable, though. It's unusable. It's unusable. and like, so favorites hard, right? Because like I don't really fuck with like the super niche stuff. Like I never really have. I mean, for me, like my favorite.
Really use peripherals.
Well, my favorite like peripheral outside of like a basic peripheral, like a controller or a headset, would be like my fight stick, like my
Sure.
TE, Street Fighter 4 TE fight stick that I've had for 10 years now at this point, or something stupid like that. So
I would imagine that like favorites. I mean, for me, it's just like the light gun because I don't really mess with like peripherals like that. But I would imagine that like people who are into racing really like steering wheels.
Sure.
It seems like a really good idea. Like if you have the right setup. But the power pad, no, get out of here.
I had a power pad back in the day.
Of course, I had a power pad. I had a power glove, and in retrospect,
I think the power glove is like one of my favorites. Like it's not good, but it is one of my favorites.
Yeah, it's so bad.
It's
right? So of the time. Like it's so quintessentially 1989.
Oh my
God.
God.
I really enjoy the power glove for what it is. Specifically peripherals, like, are we counting like the Game Boy printer / Game Boy camera?
Yeah, that's a peripheral.
I love the Game Boy camera.
Did you have a Game Gear? I did. No. I also had the Game Gear television tuner.
Ooh.
Yeah. You could stick an
antenna.
You
can run down those 7.5 AA batteries even faster?
No, they were like, it was, it'll be ridiculous. It was like 4C batteries.
No, also don't be ridiculous. Micah had the battery packs as well, because if you owned a Game Gear and actually played it, you had a battery pack.
Yeah.
You know what I will say is my all-time favorite gaming peripheral? It's a little thing known as the worm light. And it was an LED light that would turn on when you plugged it into the little port at the top of your Game Boy Color, and it allowed me to play Pokemon in the car on many long road trips to New York.
Back when me and Micah were kids, we used to have the whole fucking magnifying glass that you had to put over top.
Oh
of the
yeah,
Game Boy.
I've seen those too.
God, dude.
Yeah,
like, it had the speakers coming out the side, and then the magnifying glass, and then the light that didn't really do anything but just make a big glare on the screen, and the little subwoofer at the bottom. Yeah, I had that dumb shit. Turn your goddamn Game Boy into a literal crying baby with arms extended and shit.
God, what did we do before backlit screens with handheld game consoles? is my question. How did we ever survive?
We used terrible peripherals.
We did. Trey asks, or well, not really well, I guess this is a question. They're never going to make another Guardians of the Galaxy game, are they?
I'm sure they will. Like I think saying never is strong regardless. I think
it's more likely now than it was before they were sold to Embracer.
That's true. I think it's entirely possible we get another game. I think it's entirely possible we get a sequel. Because I think a lot of people picked up along like a hot minute after that game came out of like, oh shit, this was good.
Yeah.
So
and I'm sure it did pretty well on like Game Pass and subscription services. So, Phil Wander says, "Have you tried any handhelds made for Steam, Microsoft, or Sony? If you have, how do you deal with the depth perception?" I'm not really sure how that would factor into play. I have tried handhelds. Now, I don't know if he's talking about like stuff that's custom made for like these platforms, but I have obviously played like on my Xbox and my PlayStation on my phone. The biggest challenge there is just input latency, because it's not going to be perfect as it would be if you're actually playing on the system itself. So certain types of games are very difficult to play through remote play. Now, I'd imagine that the Steam Deck would probably not have that same issue, considering it's kind of custom built for it. But that, like, there are just some games that I absolutely cannot play remote just because the input lag is not feasible. So let's see. Rogue G asks, what is a game that you loved when you were younger that completely does not hold up today?
Probably some NES game. Like, I can't imagine playing Batman on the NES again. I can't imagine playing TMNT on the NES again. Like,
honestly, like some of those old side-scrolling beat 'em ups really do hold up, though.
Those two I just can't imagine. This might sound blasphemous, but it shouldn't, and I'm gonna need everybody to take their nostalgia glasses off.
I'm about to blaspheme as well. I wonder if we have the same blasphemous game that we're about to bring up.
GoldenEye does not hold up, guys.
Yes.
It just does not.
That is
you can't play a 3D shooter with one analog stick, guys. Like,
that is the correct answer. GoldenEye 007 is the game that does not hold up into current day. So, and then he also asked, what's a game that you love that still does hold up? That list is more endless, because I don't know if y'all know this, Nintendo was really good at designing video games. and still are to this day. And there is our
I can go downstairs right now and slam Super Mario World in an SNES and have a fantastic fucking time with it. Here's the thing, I can also turn on my fucking Game Boy and play any of the old Pokemon games and still have a really fun time. Now, I'm sure there are a lot of people who will say the old Pokemon games are not fun, and these people are wrong, and they can kiss my ass. I would also say, like, the one that immediately jumped to mind was River City Ransom. Like, I fucking love River City Ransom. It's my favorite NES game. I can play the original to death. I can play the Game Boy Advance remake to death and never really get tired of it. So,
yeah, it's tricky because, like, especially like back in the day, like, we had to have a lot more simplified games because the technology just wasn't where it would need to be to have more complex stuff. So those genres have evolved. Like, adventure games have evolved past what Link to the Past was capable of, but Link to the Past did its specific genre of game expertly well. That's where GoldenEye is an issue, is because we have first-person shooters still today that are leaps and bounds above what GoldenEye was, and that's why GoldenEye doesn't really hold up in the same way. Mike, I think this one's specifically for you. Have any of you wrestling dorks picked up Brian Gerwitz's book, There's Just One Problem yet? It's a really fun read about his time as a writer and the head writer in WWE.
I have not, but he has been making the podcast rounds. I listen to most of the Ringer wrestling shows, and he's been on a couple of those shows, just talking about the book and talking about his experience as a writer. It seems super interesting. I usually don't pick up like nonfiction, but I might pick this one up. It seems really interesting. Wrestling is actually like interesting again.
I know.
Well, WWE
is. It's amazing. It's amazing to me how it happened literally overnight. Like I really I remember I came on this show a month ago when this all broke, and I was like, look, it's going to take, Triple H time, and like, don't expect any immediate changes. And no, like, literally starting at SummerSlam and then moving on from there, like, it literally has like snapped on a dime. We're getting a re-debut of a former like NXT star every single week now on Raw.
I was like, maybe it's just because like I know that there's been a change, and that psychologically I'm like liking it more because I know there's a change. No, it's objectively more interesting, which is amazing
which
to
is
me.
crazy. That it just, like I said, it really does speak to how much of an anchor Vince McMahon truly was for like literally the last several years.
Yeah,
In terms of the future development of that company.
that image of him like biting the chains, that was like him doing everything he possibly can to drag WWE down into the muck and mire. See, here was the problem, right? Here was the problem. Vince McMahon doesn't like wrestling. Vince McMahon likes bodybuilding and football, and all the man wanted was to own a football team. But the NFL, like the NFL owners, they're like the Illuminati, right? Like you just can't roll up in there. That dude was too broke to own an NFL team, right? So he was just like, oh, I'm just gonna create a league, right? And that failed twice, and but he doesn't his passion isn't wrestling. Whereas Triple H, like his passion is wrestling, and he gets storytelling, and he doesn't treat the audience like fucking idiots, man. And he's not out to he doesn't hate the audience. Vince hated the audience, yo. He hated them. You'll like it, damn it! Like Jesus Christ, dude. Like calm down, yo. Like these people just want a show. So yeah, I might pick up that book, but yeah, it's interesting now. I can't believe it.
Mark says, if your life were a TV show and you could have anyone narrate it, who would it be, and why would you choose anyone besides Keith David?
I mean, Keith David is the answer. Keith David is the answer. Well, I know, basic bitches will be like, Morgan Freeman. No, yo.
Now, Morgan Freeman doesn't have the like Keith David like has this like authoritative way of sounding when he's like doing a voiceover.
Keith David used to do voiceover for the Navy commercials, and I swear to God, dude, it makes you want to join. It makes you want to join.
I'm trying to think of other like famous like documentary voiceover talents that you hear a lot that would be good, because that's what you want, right? Like you want someone who's narrated a couple famous documentaries, like John Attenborough, or it's not John Attenborough. That's his name, right? Or am I thinking of the actor from Jurassic Park?
David Attenborough.
David Attenborough, yes. David Attenborough has a good voice, but I don't know if it's a good like I want him to narrate my life voice, because he does all like the Planet Earth shit.
Yeah. No, for me, I need somebody that's like, much like a Republican, I need a daddy to guide me through life, right? Like, I can't think for myself. I need an authoritative daddy to guide me through life, preferably one that doesn't have Alzheimer's or whatever Reagan had towards his end, and yeah, I need like a big old school announcer, like authoritative voice. You know what I mean? Like I don't need like there's in voice acting now, like they used to, like people with big booming announcer voices used to be like the thing, right? Like everybody wanted an announcer voice back in the day. Now, in order to try and sell you something, the idea is to have a voice that sounds like your buddy. Like Brad, you have a very good voice for what companies are looking for when it comes to selling things, because you sound like someone's best friend, right? And
so what you're telling me is I should put in for a lot of commercial roles for voiceovers.
I mean, you probably could get it. You probably could, like, right? Because you don't have a discernible accent, right? You have a Cleveland voice, and you sound, distinctly white, right? Like that's something, right? Like that's something that people look for, right? Like so you would probably be very good at like the lighthearted, like and you have sales experience, so you've got that like affable nature.
I know which words need to be emphasized, basically. So.
Yeah, and that's all voice acting is.
Yeah.
So yeah, you would actually probably be very good at it.
I'll throw in one more suggestion, and it's only because I've found myself watching more and more Critical Role lately. Matt Mercer would also probably be a pretty good narrator.
Oh, Lord Masamune. Look, so I like Matt Mercer quite a lot. But I've known who Matt Mercer is for the last 20 years because he used to be big in the cosplay community, and he was like the Sephiroth cosplayer for a long time before he really got into voice acting. So like, I used to see him at conventions. Like, I'm pretty sure I have a photo in some like Otakon 2003 fucking photo album that I took on a disposable camera and got developed at my local Rite Aid. Yeah. I could not handle having so Lord Masamune was his handle on cosplay.com, and that's why whenever someone brings up Matt Mercer, I tend to refer to him as such. Look that up. Look up Matt Mercer Sephiroth cosplay on Google. It's a time. Yeah, I don't know who I would have. Do you mind? Maybe Catherine Hahn.
There you go.
She's done a lot of voice work. I don't think she's done
narration. Oh, by the way, speaking of lady crushes that you have, I feel like that if they can't get you into Fortnite now, Carrie, then they have no chance of ever getting you into Fortnite. Because apparently Brie Larson is going to be doing a voice of like a major character in the game, reportedly.
I'm not going to play Fortnite.
Apparently it's good now because they have a no build mode that you can play, and apparently like that was the secret to get all us old heads into Fortnite is you just take out the building and we're like, oh shit, we can play this now. Like it's actually fun.
I don't care. I'm not playing Fortnite.
You don't want to throw a Kamehameha at folks?
I don't. Like I've seen footage from that game and I'm like, what the fuck?
They've got Destiny characters. They've got Destiny characters in there now. John Cena.
Yeah, it's like you can be on the same map with John Cena, Goku, and the fucking main guy from Destiny. Yeah. And apparently Brie Larson now. And then I'm not playing.
I can't play that game on principle at this point, right? Like,
not doing
like
it.
You can't just throw all these. That's why I refuse to play multiverses, right? Like, there's no rhyme, there's no reason. Like, at least with like Smash Brothers, like they're all video game characters, right? Like, what the fuck is John Cena and Ken from Street Fighter doing in a fucking video game, right? Like, what is Shaggy and Arya Stark, a murderer, doing in fucking multiverses?
Janet, I was listening to Giant Bombcast, and Janet Cho made a really good point. Like, you know how like it used to be a big deal to get your game on like a magazine cover. Like if you were in Game Informer, that was great because you were going to be, seen by anyone walking into a GameStop. Well, no one goes into GameStop anymore, so now you advertise your game through Fortnite because everyone plays Fortnite, and that way they can just see all your characters. And you're like, oh, what's this all about? Where's this guy from? And go from there. Yeah, I'm probably at least gonna pick it up again. You know what else I want to play? I also want to play Rumbleverse because that looks fun.
Nah.
So that's the wrestling battle royale game for those that are unaware. Looks pretty cool. Finally, not a question, but a statement. I guess this is a question. There is a question mark. Johnny asks, can y'all loan me $600 for that new Marvel 2 cabinet?
Nah, man.
Listen, as someone that owns one of those things, it's fun. It's like, so there's a saying, there's like a phrase that people who buy boats live by, and they say, the two best days of owning a boat are the day you buy it and the day you sell it. And I feel like that the arcade one-up cabinets are like in the same vein. Like the two coolest days with the arcade one-up cabinet are the day you buy it and the day you sell it. Because the day you buy it, like you bring it home, you build it, it's cool, it's awesome, like the novelty factor is still present. And then 2 years on, like that thing just is in your house somewhere and you play it occasionally, but right now it's in your basement and it's just kind of off most of the time. And you're like, man, I mean, I'm kind of glad I bought it because I do like NBA Jam a whole lot, but I feel like that $500 could have been used elsewhere.
But like, are you having people over to like come
Absolutely
and have
not.
some snacks and like watch some movies and play NBA Jam?
No,
like, no,
absolutely not.
No.
So
like that's a lot of money, man. Like,
yeah,
like Steam had contacted me like, hey, your Steam Deck's here. You got 2 days to buy it, and I'm just like, I can't do it. I can't do it. Like I don't just have $600 on the ready, right? Like that I do, but like that's a purchase that like I gotta talk to the wife about, right? Like if $600 is missing from the checking account, like what the fuck is
you got
this,
a baby,
right?
dude? You got kids,
right?
You can't
like,
spend $600 on some bullshit. No,
Right.
that's a week's worth of diapers. I don't know how much.
Oh, it's one banana, Michael. What could it cost? $10? Is exactly what you just sounded like right there.
Oh shit!
Oh, that is the second
it's
consecutive
7 diapers, Micah. How much could it possibly cost? $600.
That is the second time I've gotten to pull that line out on a TNP podcast within a week's span, outrageously. So,
oh shit.
But yeah, no, don't Johnny, don't buy the $600 Marvel 2. Like, I know it has all the other Marvel versus games on there as well, but nah, you don't.
Unless you are the kind of person who regularly has people over for like game nights and social events and whatnot. Like, if your house is the host house, is the entertainment house, then sure, absolutely buy one of those things. If you're buying it just for yourself, don't fucking waste your time because you're going to play it twice and be like, well, I have this big thing in my house and it takes up a lot of space. Now I don't know what to do with it. And guess what, buddy? You can't even donate that shit to like any sort of arcades in your area because you know what they refer to those things as? Toys. Because that's what they are. They're not an arcade cabinet. They're a big toy.
They are.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, no doubt about that. But yeah, it's like I said, it's fun, but it's not worth the money that you're paying for them. So
I'll never understand why those two companies can't get like licensing down so that they can just release this on a console and PC.
Yeah, I don't know, and I feel like that's got to be more from the Disney side of the equation than the Capcom side of the equation, because I'm sure Capcom would really like to license that as much as possible.
Yeah, man. So, like you could charge $100 for that collection and people would buy it. Like they would. Yeah. They'll pay $600 for it, and that includes manual labor.
Well, and honestly, that's probably the real reason why they don't. It's because it's more lucrative for Capcom to license it out for them to license it to Arcade 1UP, and you know, make a niche product that'll sell out, and then because you can always port the game whenever, like that's always in your back pocket. So
yeah. I told myself I wouldn't get an Arcade 1UP cabinet until MVC 2 was on it. Mm-hmm. They have one for MVC 1 and X-Men versus Street Fighter. And I said, I'll hold out, right? Because they're going to do it eventually. And then when it came out, I was like, oh, shit. All right, here we go. And then it was $600. And I'm like, I can't, man.
Again, if you can find one of those, like a lot of times when stores are just trying to liquidate them, like you'll see it discounted down to like $3. That ain't bad. Like if you can get one for $300 and you got the money to throw away, cop one for $300, but don't spend $600.
Yeah.
So that is it for the post office. Again, you guys can submit your questions to us in there by going to densepixels.com/fans and joining our Discord. While you're on the internet, go to youtube.com/densepixels. Subscribe to our channel there. You can see our smiling faces in video format. Rather listen to us in audio? No problem. Dense Pixels and all the other TNP studio shows are downloadable wherever you find podcasts. Just subscribe to us on there. And you can also find us on Twitch, twitch.tv/densepixels. And you can follow us individually. I'm Dense Pixels Brad. Carrie Suppets Carrie. Terrence is Apparition410. Micah is not cool enough to stream on Twitch. And that's it. That's our show.
Mm-hmm.
Good long show for you this week. See, I knew we'd be chatty Cathy's with the amount of stuff that's in the news.
There you go.
Enjoy your Gamescom. What are we gonna do without The Rock to tell us to enjoy our gaming? He didn't pop up for this. For this presentation.
I guess I'll just have to fucking keep playing Final Fantasy 14.
I got
play it. To play FF14 is to suffer, and
it sounds frankly joyous to me. Again, like my desire to not want to go back to Destiny 2 is not for want of not wanting to play Destiny. It's just for want of wanting to avoid getting sucked into that lifestyle again.
Yeah, the new patch is really good. They're like, what if we just did Final Fantasy IV, which is my favorite Final Fantasy. So I have eaten well today, lads.
You're going to the moon. Congratulations.
Well, I already went to the moon. Now we got the Elemental Fiends back in play. They got a new mix of the boss theme. Barbaricia is really hot. Like, what more could I possibly ask for?
And what more could you ask of us? Thank you guys very much for watching and listening, and we'll see you all the next time.
You're watching the Dense Pixels YouTube channel. Click the subscribe button while you're here and make sure you check out our weekly podcast where we discuss the latest gaming news and our impressions on what games we've been playing.